If you think hard work is the key to success, that might be the reason why you still stuck. And I'm about to destroy what I believe to be the biggest lie in entrepreneurship. A lie that is silently killing your potential, and it almost destroyed mine. And I know what you're thinking, another guru telling me to work smarter, not harder. No, this goes way deeper. This is about what I call the hustle trap. Something that's been programmed into your nervous system to keep you spinning your wheels forever. And I know because I fell hard for it. I was working 14-hour days, chasing every tactic, grinding, burning the midnight oil until a mentor showed me a better way. Here's the brutal reality. Hard work is the most dangerous half-truth in business. And hustle culture influencers have got it completely wrong. Because if hard work alone led to success, then 90% of businesses wouldn't fail, because most entrepreneurs are smart, they're obsessive, they're committed, they hustle, but they're trapped, not by laziness, but because their brain is wired to value movement over results. The real problem is that you think that every time you hustle and grind, you are getting closer to freedom. But really, you're sprinting on a treadmill of diminishing returns. And what nobody tells you is that your brain has been conditioned to glorify effort, and your nervous system evolved to avoid uncertainty. So you default to hard work because it feels familiar, even if it leads nowhere. It feels productive, but it's just dopamine-fueled drift. The only thing that it guarantees, though, is burnout. And that is the biggest lie you've been sold. Because if you think that more effort equals results, you are in a dangerous trap, because that only happens if effort compounds. Effort without compounding is just brutal self-sabotage. Think about it like in physics, right? If you force without direction, you just create chaos. If you have energy without focus, it's just dissipation. And work without leverage is just motion. Compounding only happens when every input has a multiplier effect. And most founders are too busy working and firefighting to think clearly about which effort multiplies and which don't. And you're probably operating like this if you are solving the wrong problems instead of what really matters. You're chasing easy wins instead of the big levers. You're getting busy instead of really getting strategic. And what really happens in the brain is that when you work hard, your brain releases dopamine. It feels good, it feels productive, like you're moving forward, but that dopamine really is masking a deeper problem. It's an addiction to effort on the wrong thing. I had a client once, let's call him David, grinding 16-hour days. Smart guy, MIT graduate, incredible work ethic, doing about 10K a month after 3 years in business. When we audited his time, we found that about 78% of his work could be automated or eliminated. He wasn't lazy. He was working hard on the wrong thing. He was miswired. Because if you waste energy on tasks that feel urgent but move nothing forward, you will always be stuck. Elite founders break that spell. They focus like snipers. They cut the noise. They eliminate mental drag and identity level self-sabotage. But how do they do it? Well, that brings me to a core principle of elite performance: systems. If you want consistent results, you need system, not hacks, not better time management. No, systematic leverage. Everything that you do must be high leverage, truly important, not just urgent, rooted in cause of effect. So there's no lack of hope. You know what you're doing, can be measured by KPI, so you know if you're getting it right, and can be audited by improvement, so you can become better at it. And the big shift is when you start looking at everything systematically, because a good founder, an elite founder, is someone with limited time and mental capacity. So the job is to design systems that get other people or technology to work for you, so the business can operate without keeping your nervous system in a constant state of survival mode. That is how billion-dollar operators think. Everybody has 24 hours in a day, but some use them to run multi-billion-dollar companies, but others waste them. And the successful ones do not overwork their competition, they outperform them with clear thinking, consistent execution, and of course, clever system design. What most people miss is that when you rely on willpower and hard work, you're using your prefrontal cortex. That part of the brain burns glucose fast. You get fatigue. But when you operate from system, you're using your basal ganglia, which is where habits live. It's automatic, it's effortless. And that is the difference between swimming upstream in business, like 90% of people do, and swimming with the current. Let me give you a very concrete example of a client of ours making about 150K per year with her business. Brilliant strategist, but she was drowning in client work. She was marketing, working 12 hours every day just to keep up. And I run her through this framework and I told her, hey, let's design the 3 systems that you need the most. And we realized you need a client onboarding system to clear expectations and boundaries, a content creation system that could repurpose one piece of content into 7, and a sales system that qualified prospect before they got into her calendar. The result is that she reduced her work hours to about 6 or 7, and her next year revenue doubled to over 300,000. Same person, same intelligence, same skills, different system. That is the magic of designing what you want. The principle that governs everything in the universe is leverage. In business, you're either building leverage or you're being leveraged. There's no middle ground. When you work hard with a system, someone else is capturing the value you create. When you build systems, you capture value even when you're not working. So your job as an elite founder is threefold. One is design system. This involves a small challenging work phase in the beginning, a little bit of hustle to learn how each system works, and then you design the system. Then you hire a system operator, people that can run those systems better than you can, and finally support them to make those systems work, providing resources, feedback, and optimization. That's it. Success is not some sort of hustle game, it's a leverage game. And the only way to win is by breaking your nervous system addiction to struggle and rewiring your identity to think and execute like an elite founder. And what I mean by addiction to struggle is that right now your mind, your brain, associates hard work with worthiness. And if you're not suffering, you don't feel like you're earning your success. I know I used to be exactly that way, but that trauma response, because at the core that's a trauma response, is masquerading as work ethic. Elite founders operate from abundance. They understand that sustainable success comes from optimization of systems. Think about it this way. A mule works hard. It carries heavy loads and it never stops, but it never owns anything, right? And most founders are mules. An elite founder thinks strategically, builds systematically, and scales intelligently, and captures the value created by every system. The hardest part is not to learn the system, is to avoid falling into identity that says that you need to struggle to be worthy. Because when you release that identity, you can stop glorifying effort like everybody does and start optimizing for outcomes, and everything changes. Let me give you an example of another guy. Let's call him Marcus. Serial entrepreneur. He had running 3 companies at the same time, all of them at 6 figures, but he was working 14 hours every day. And he thought that the solution was to work even more. And the first thing we did together, we rewired his relationship with effort and struggle. Within 6 months, one of his business, an e-com business, had reached 7 figures. Not by working hard, but by systematically breaking down everything that needed to happen and then actually doing it. Everything I just shared with you, the hustle delusion, the systems mindset, the elite founder blueprint, all of this is the foundation, things that you need to understand. But the real transformation happens when you audit your current operating system and you really understand what protocols apply to you to match your unique situation. Because what most people get wrong is you cannot change your behavior if you do not change your neural wiring. It's like running new software on an old operating system. It never works. At Selfmastered, we rewire your operating system using proven neuroscience. So you stop relying on willpower and you stop burning out and you stop drifting and you start actually installing the right habits and mindset that allow you to escape the hard work trap and design system. The first step is what I would call decoding session, which is a systematic diagnostics that are going to tell us exactly the mental patterns that are keeping you stuck. Because you can't scale a successful business on personal effort. When you make this shift, you stop playing business like a mule and start operating like an elite founder, and everything else improves. And the decoding session is the first step to understand what is preventing you from doing this. Not a coaching call, not a sales pitch, an actual decoding session. We're gonna audit exactly how you think, what needs to happen for you to get to the next level, and if we have slot, maybe invite you into our 100 founders we work with every single year. The reality is not your fault if you think hustle is the solution. You were conditioned to believe that suffering equals success, but now you know better. And you have a choice. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to be hustling and grinding forever and eventually burning out like there's no way out of that? Or are you going to design a system that makes success inevitable? See you on the call.